The story begins on a rainy day where our protagonist, Kotoko Aihara, is in her room listening to a radio program titled Love in Tokyo, which talks about love. The show's host informs listeners about the presence of a shooting star in the sky and asks them to make a wish. Kotoko approaches her window and makes a wish. She wishes for the courage to confess her feelings to the boy she likes. The next day, at Tonan High School, Kotoko hides to watch the boy she likes, Naoki Ari. Kotoko has admired Naoki since the first time she heard him give his speech at the graduation ceremony. She feels something so strong for Naoki that, despite being terrified, she decides to give him a letter confessing her love. However, Naoki cruelly rejects Kotoko's letter, leaving her stunned. All the students at school witness her rejection, and throughout the morning, they mock and harass her. Fortunately for Kotoko, her friends Jinko Komori and Satomi Ishikawa console her and make her see that confessing to Naoki was a mistake, as he is intelligent and high class compared to them, who belong to Class F. Kotoko doesn't care about this. She plans to become smarter so she can enter Class A and be with Naoki. Jinko and Satomi bring her back to reality by reminding her to focus on learning the alphabet first, as she sometimes forgets it. After that, the three of them go to their classroom, where their classmates continue to tease Kotoko about what happened. Jinko immediately jumps to Kotoko's defense, shouting at everyone to be quiet. Thanks to this, Kotoko manages to go to her seat and find some peace. Suddenly, a student arrives after hearing about Kotoko's rejection. This student is Kinosuke Aikizawa, a classmate of Kotoko who has romantic feelings for her. Kinosuke comforts Kotoko by giving her some takoyaki he made himself. Kotoko enjoys the food and thanks Kinosuke for his kind gesture, as she really needed something positive to happen on this horrible day. Later, Kotoko and her friends gather to talk about her move, which will take place the next day. When the day arrives, Jinko, Satomi, Kinosuke, and other classmates help Kotoko and her father, Shigeo, with the move. After all their hard work, they decide to eat inside Kotoko's new house. At that moment, Kotoko hears a strange noise coming from the sky. When she tells her friends, they all look up, only to witness a shooting star crashing into Kotoko's new house, completely destroying it. As a result, Shigeo is interviewed by the local media. During the interview, he can't hide his frustration and sadness over losing the house he worked so hard and spent so much money on. He and Kotoko are forced to stay at the restaurant where Shigeo works. Kotoko can't bear to see her father so sad, so she comforts him by pointing out the bright side. At least neither of them was hit by the falling star. Shigeo can't believe Kotoko's optimism and tells her that her late mother was just as optimistic. Hearing this, Kotoko smiles, feeling happy to be compared to her mother. Suddenly, Shigeo receives a call from his childhood friend, who invites them to stay at his house. The next day at school, Kotoko is once again the center of attention, not only because of her destroyed house, but also because Kinosuke is humiliating her by asking for money on her behalf at the school entrance. Kotoko scolds him and tells him to stop trying to help, as he's only embarrassing her. At that moment, Naoki tries to enter the school, but Kotoko and Kinosuke block the entrance. Naoki asks them to move, and Kotoko, irritated, rudely tells him to have a little more consideration for her situation. In response, Naoki offers Kotoko 5,000 yen to help her and to put the love letter incident behind them. As expected, Kotoko refuses to take the money, believing that Naoki is only mocking her. Because of this, Naoki simply walks away, and Kotoko can't help but yell at him to change his attitude, warning him that no one will ever love him if he continues acting so cold and mean. Immediately after saying this, Kotoko regrets it. Hours later, Kotoko and her father arrive at the house where they will be staying. The house belongs to Shigeo's friend, Shigeki, who turns out to be none other than Naoki's father. Kotoko is shocked to see Naoki's last name at the entrance of the house, but she doesn't want to believe that Naoki actually lives there. After the formal introductions with Shigeki and his wife called Noriko, the latter introduces their youngest son, Yuki. Yuki greets Shigeo and Kotoko formally, but when Kotoko tries to greet him, he ignores her. A little later, Shigeo and Shigeki catch up, as they haven't seen each other in a long time. While they talk, Shigeki's second son suddenly arrives, who turns out to be none other than Naoki. As expected, Kotoko is in shock and struggles to interact with Naoki. She keeps glancing at him, but he simply ignores. Yuki appears and asks Kotoko to teach him kanji characters. However, Kotoko has no knowledge of kanji despite being in high school, so she gives an incorrect answer. Yuki immediately mocks Kotoko, and Naoki goes along with him. Yuki's mother scolds him for being rude and asks him to apologize to Kotoko. Instead, Yuki walks away, not without making a teasing gesture at her first. Later, Noriko takes Kotoko to her room, which has been carefully arranged. Noriko went out of her way to decorate it with feminine touches, as she had been wanting to do so for a long time. To her surprise, Kotoko needed this kind of detail, since she never got to experience what it's like to be loved by a mother since she lost hers at a young age. The combination of Noriko's longing for a daughter and Kotoko's need to experience motherly love allowed them to connect quickly. This tender moment is interrupted by Naoki, who comes in to drop off Kotoko's belongings. He tries to help her, but she refuses to accept his assistance. Because of this, Naoki tells Kotoko that he doesn't want to deal with her and advises her not to talk to him. The next morning, Kotoko and Naoki have breakfast together. Naoki leaves the house first, so Kotoko decides to follow him since they go to the same school. On the way, Naoki makes it clear that he doesn't want anyone to see them together, as he doesn't want people to start spreading rumors. Naoki bids farewell to Kotoko by telling her that he would never, in his life, date someone like her because he dislikes clumsy and careless girls. Kotoko is deeply offended by Naoki's words and can't believe she ever fell in love with a guy like that. The harsh words from Naoki affected Kotoko deeply. She refuses to let any boy treat her like a fool, especially not the one she likes. That's why she makes a commitment to herself to study harder so she can reach Naoki's level of intelligence and do well on the upcoming exams. When Kotoko speaks to the teacher, he is surprised as it's the first time she has shown interest in class. Kotoko's classmates mock her for wanting to try to be a smart girl. Jinko, Satomi, Kinosuke, and the others try to convince Kotoko to give up on her attempt to become intelligent, but she refuses because she wants to reach and even surpass Naoki's level. Kotoko's friends laugh at her for believing she can surpass Naoki, but she feels confident that she can achieve it. That night, Kotoko rushes through dinner so she can go to her room to study. As she reads the books, she realizes she has no idea what she is reading, which makes her feel discouraged. Nevertheless, she tries to understand the material and works hard to learn something. A few minutes later, Noriko enters her room to offer her a snack to take a break from studying. While Kotoko enjoys the food, Noriko tells her not to push herself too hard, revealing that Naoki never had to stay up late studying because he was simply born with an innate talent for intelligence. Kotoko is shocked by this and asks Noriko if she has any other secrets about Naoki. Noriko shows Kotoko a photo album of Naoki when he was a child. As Kotoko looks at the pictures, she can't help but feel touched and look at Naoki with affection. Noriko notices this and feels happy for Kotoko because she perceives that Kotoko looks like a girl in love. As Kotoko continues flipping through the family photos, she finds several pictures of a little girl. She asks Noriko who the girl is, and she replies that it's actually Naoki dressed as a girl. Kotoko can't help but laugh, and to keep it a secret between them, Noriko offers her one of those photos in exchange for not telling anyone about Naoki's embarrassing past. Ironically, the next morning, Kotoko can't stop laughing when she sees Naoki, as the image of him dressed as a girl is still in her mind. Seeing Kotoko's laughter, Naoki looks at her confused. Later in class, Kotoko is studying when Naoki suddenly calls her to talk. This shocks Kotoko's friends, so they decide to follow them. The reason Naoki called Kotoko was to exchange lunches as he had taken hers by mistake. After swapping lunches, Naoki rudely says goodbye to her. Kotoko refuses to let Naoki keep treating her badly, so she shows him the picture of him dressed as a girl. Naoki is baffled as to how Kotoko has that picture, so he tries to take it from her. Kotoko quickly hides the photo in the pocket of her uniform and tells him that she will only return it if he helps her study to get into Class A. Naoki refuses, saying that it's impossible for someone from Class F to move up to Class A in such a short time. Kotoko blackmails him, saying that if he doesn't help her, she will expose his embarrassing picture to the entire school. Because of this, Naoki reluctantly agrees to tutor her but warns that he will be strict with her. That night, Naoki informs his family that he will be in Kotoko's room helping her study. This surprises everyone. Yuki feels betrayed by Naoki as he has never bothered to help him study. Seeing this as an opportunity, Yuki asks Naoki to tutor him as well, but Naoki refuses, saying that Yuki doesn't need any help. Later, Naoki begins his task of training Kotoko in her studies. When Naoki asks Kotoko to solve some simple math exercises, she is unable to do so. Seeing this, Naoki realizes that he has a long and difficult job ahead, so he organizes a study schedule that Kotoko must follow day by day. As time passes, Kotoko puts effort into her studies using Naoki's notes, and when she finally manages to solve most of the math and English exercises, she shouts in victory. The night before the final exams, Naoki gives Kotoko some practice tests. She solves them easily, impressed by how much knowledge she has gained in such a short time. After hours of studying, Naoki and Kotoko fall asleep. Noriko enters the room to bring them snacks, but upon seeing them asleep, she is touched and takes several pictures to cherish this beautiful moment. The next morning, Noriko gives Kotoko a special letter and tells her that she can only open it if she ranks among the top 100 in the final exams. When the exam begins, Kotoko is surprised to see that the questions are the same as those in Naoki's practice tests. Because of this, she manages to complete the exam easily. 3 days later, the exam results are posted. As expected, Naoki is in first place. Kotoko congratulates him on this. He also congratulates her, though Kotoko doesn't understand why. When she sees her score, she is overjoyed to find out that she ranked among the top 100 students, so she can't help but jump with excitement and thank Naoki for helping her. He returns to his usual cold self and asks for the picture she promised to return. Kotoko hands it over and then walks away. She bids him farewell from a distance and shouts his name as a sign of gratitude for helping her study. After this, Kotoko and her friends head home. Kotoko tells them that she managed to rank among the top students thanks to someone. From a distance, Kinosuke and his friends overhear this, and believing Kotoko is hiding something, they decide to follow her. Kotoko arrives at Naoki's house, and after entering, Kinosuke and his friends discover that Naoki's family lives there. Kinosuke refuses to believe that Kotoko lives in the same house as Naoki, but when he sees Naoki entering the house, reality hits him hard. The next day at school, Kinosuke intercepts Kotoko to ask her why she is living in Naoki's house. Kotoko denies living there, and she gets so nervous denying Kinosuke's accusations that she accidentally drops her backpack. Her friends help her pick up her things, and in the process, Jinko finds the special letter that Naoki's mother gave to Kotoko. When Jinko opens the letter, she is left speechless. Inside was the photo that Naoki's mother had taken, where Kotoko and Naoki are seen sleeping together. As expected, all of Kotoko's classmates start bombarding her with questions and spreading rumors about a romance between her and Naoki. Kotoko clarifies that there is nothing between them, as Naoki hates her. To put an end to the topic, Kotoko asks her classmates to stop talking about it, as it could damage Naoki's reputation. They agree but soon break their promise. The next day, Naoki firmly grabs Kotoko's hand and takes her to the school's main hallway, where he shows her that their classmates have spread the rumor that he and Kotoko are a couple. Naoki is so angry with Kotoko that he tells her to stay away from him, as he doesn't want to experience any more troubles at school. Kotoko apologizes, but Naoki ignores her. As a result of Naoki's cold rejection, Kotoko can't help but cry. That night, Kotoko returns home late, as Naoki's words affected her deeply. Upon arriving home, Kotoko is greeted by Noriko. She greets her formally, and since she is feeling sad, she avoids any additional interaction. Kotoko goes up to her room, and once there, she takes out the love letter she wrote for Naoki a long time ago and begins to admire it. She knows that Naoki will never read this letter, so she doesn't mind falling asleep while reading it. Ironically, Naoki enters her room, and upon seeing that Kotoko is holding a letter, he takes advantage of her being asleep to read it. The next morning, after breakfast, Naoki leaves for school. Noriko advises Kotoko to do the same. Kotoko prepares to leave home with Naoki, but he approaches her with a bad attitude. She thinks he is going to warn her not to follow him on the way to school, but in reality, he approaches her to remove a breadcrumb from her hair. Kotoko is surprised by this gesture, as Naoki had never been considerate toward her before. Despite this, Naoki continues to ignore her at school, which makes Kotoko sad. Seeing this, Kinoshu commits to being Kotoko's bodyguard, protecting her from Naoki at all costs. However, Kinoshu is not satisfied with just looking after her at school, so he and his friends spy on Naoki's house. Inside the house, Kotoko and her father cook for the Irie family. As expected, Kotoko does not do a good job, which Naoki and Yuki take advantage of to mock her. As dinner continues, Noriko tells Kotoko that over time she will improve her cooking and become a professional cook for her future husband. She wants Naoki to be Kotoko's future husband, as she considers them the perfect pair. Naoki intervenes to inform his mother that he would never marry a girl like Kotoko. Kotoko responds with the same sentiment, but in response, Naoki starts reciting the love letter she wrote to him. Kotoko is shocked to learn that Naoki knows the contents of her love letter, and unwilling to let him humiliate her in front of the family, she slaps him hard. Naoki gets angry and orders Kotoko to tell everyone the truth about the love letter she wrote him. Kotoko confesses that she was in love with Naoki a long time ago, but after getting to know him, she no longer feels the same. Noriko is thrilled and advises Kotoko to fight for Naoki's love, revealing that Kotoko is the type of girl Naoki likes. When Noriko asks him what he thinks about Kotoko, Kinosuke and his friends suddenly barge in, ruining the moment. Kinosuke and Naoki confront each other, and Naoki reveals that he might fall in love with Kotoko in the future. He only says this to make Kinosuke leave and stop bothering him, though Kotoko takes his words as true. The next day, while Kotoko is attending summer classes, she cannot help but admire Naoki as he practices tennis. She is so distracted watching him that when her teacher realizes she is not paying attention to the lesson, he punishes her by making her run 10 laps around the school. While Kotoko is completing her punishment, Naoki hits the tennis ball so hard that it ends up hitting Kotoko on the forehead. She does not react, as she does not want to look ridiculous in front of Naoki. Before he can ask if she is okay, her teacher scolds her for not completing her punishment and orders her to keep running. Nervously, Kotoko leaves Naoki behind, and he laughs at her embarrassing situation. That evening, after dinner, Kotoko decides to help Noriko with household chores. This is just an excuse for Kotoko to ask Naoki's mother for cooking lessons. Noriko reminds Kotoko that she has a father who is a chef, but Kotoko replies that she wants her to teach her how to cook because she wants her meals to have a maternal touch. Noriko realizes that Kotoko wants to learn to cook for Naoki, so she asks if she is still in love with him. Kotoko responds that she is, but acknowledges that he would never notice someone like her. Noriko tells her that love has no stereotypes. After all, she could have married a handsome guy when she was younger, but she chose Shigeki, who, despite not being attractive or intelligent, was authentic and funny, which is what made her fall in love with him. The next day, Shigeo and Shigeki leave on a trip. Noriko and Yuki also leave due to an emergency. Kotoko and Naoki are left alone at home, providing Kotoko with the perfect opportunity to practice cooking. She attempts to make steak with vegetables, but ends up setting the kitchen on fire. When Naoki sees her failed attempt at cooking, he decides to take over and prepare dinner himself. Kotoko is amazed by Naoki's high-quality cooking. She is so fascinated by the meal that she imagines a scenario where she and Naoki are a newlywed couple. Naoki snaps her back to reality by asking her to clean the kitchen, reminding her that she still has summer homework to do. After cleaning, Kotoko spends the entire night working on her assignments. Kotoko manages to finish most of her schoolwork, except for her math and physics assignments. She does not know how to solve the exercises, so she decides to sneak into Naoki's room to borrow his notes. Although she successfully takes Naoki's notes, he hears her enter and grabs her hand to stop her from leaving. He teases her by pretending to be in love with her, and when she gets annoyed, she leaves his room. Naoki reminds her that she forgot the notes, and she hesitates about whether to go back for them or not. Eventually, Kotoko decides to retrieve the notes, and Naoki helps her finish her assignments as quickly as possible. After several hours, the sun rises, and Kotoko finally completes her work. As a token of appreciation for his help, Kotoko makes coffee for Naoki. As they both enjoy their coffee, Kotoko gazes at Naoki lovingly and regrets that nothing romantic happened between them during summer vacation. She cherishes this moment as it is the only time she was able to enjoy Naoki's peaceful side. Time passes and it is revealed that the relationship between Kotoko and Naoki has not progressed in the slightest. On the other hand, something positive happened in Kotoko's life. She and her friends were accepted into Tonan University. The three of them meet at a temple in Tokyo to pray to the gods for good luck in all aspects of their lives as they begin the new year. At nightfall, Shigeo and the Irie family celebrate Kotoko's achievement. Kotoko is aware that she was able to enter university thanks to Naoki, so she gives him a head massager as a token of appreciation. Naoki thanks her for the gesture but informs everyone present that he is not sure about enrolling in any university. His family becomes extremely nervous at this news, so they desperately try to use the head massager on him. Kotoko, for her part, is shocked and wonders why Naoki is not interested in going to university. After a deep conversation with Noriko, Kotoko realizes that the reason Naoki does not want to enroll in university is that he feels pressured by his family. Knowing this, Kotoko makes a lucky charm for Naoki and advises him to think about his future. For the first time, Naoki listens to Kotoko's words, which leads him to decide to take the National Center test the next day. Naoki meets up with his classmate Watanabe, and together they head to take the exam. To reach the exam venue, they must take several routes, one of which involves using an elevator. When they get off, Naoki encounters a problem. Kotoko's lucky charm gets stuck in the elevator door. As a result, Watanabe abandons him so as not to be late for the exam. Naoki calls for assistance, and after resolving the issue, he manages to reunite with Watanabe. Watanabe believes that what happened with the elevator was due to Kotoko's charm bringing bad luck. Naoki agrees and decides to get rid of it. Unfortunately, as he does this, he crashes into someone on the stairs. As a result, he injures his foot and arrives late for the exam. Another problem arises when he realizes that his pencils have no tips. Fortunately, Watanabe lends him one of his. After the exam, another issue emerges. Naoki's lunch was prepared by Kotoko. He refuses to eat it, but luckily, Watanabe shares his food with him. Before heading home, a nurse who treated Naoki's injury returns the charm she found on the stairs, surprising him since he had hoped to get rid of it for good. Back home, Naoki's family is shocked to see him injured. Kotoko assumes it was because of the charm, and Naoki confirms it. The next day, Kotoko feels guilty, believing that just as the charm caused Naoki's injury, it might also affect his exam performance. At that moment, Satomi intercepts her to inform her that Naoki passed the National Center test, meaning he can now take the entrance exam for his desired university. Kotoko smiles, believing everything was possible thanks to her charm. She then decides to find Naoki to congratulate him and let him know that her charm worked. Kotoko finds Watanabe, who tries to avoid her, but when she tells him she is looking for Naoki to tell him he passed the exam, Watanabe is shocked. He tells Kotoko that it is a miracle Naoki passed because he had terrible luck that day due to the charm she made. Upon hearing this, Kotoko returns home feeling down. She refuses to sit idly by after learning that Naoki suffered because of her charm, so she decides to make him chocolate to wish him luck on his next exam, the University of Tokyo entrance exam. On the day of the exam, Kotoko follows Naoki, but it seems that the chocolate she made brings her bad luck. First, she slips on a banana peel. This is minor, but things get worse when she suddenly feels a sharp pain in her stomach. Kotoko tries to keep following Naoki, but her body gives out. She faints, and without hesitation, Naoki rushes to her and takes her to the nearest hospital. When Kotoko wakes up, she finds herself surrounded by her father and Naoki's family. She asks about Naoki, and his parents reply that he is currently taking his final entrance exam at the University of Tokyo. Suddenly, Naoki appears, shocking everyone. He informs his parents that he decided not to take the exam. As expected, Kotoko feels guilty, believing she was just an obstacle in Naoki's path to university. Shigeo apologizes to Naoki's parents on Kotoko's behalf. Overwhelmed with guilt, Kotoko packs her bags and leaves Naoki's house. She wanders the streets until Naoki finds her. He asks why she ran away, and she responds that she does not want to cause any more trouble for him or his family. Kotoko sees herself as a bad influence on Naoki's life, since she only brings him problems. Naoki acknowledges that while that may be true, he has enjoyed the thrill of danger. He has always been a perfect student, but ever since meeting Kotoko, his perfect life has started to take unexpected turns, and he genuinely appreciates that. He feels it was about time someone helped him step out of his comfort zone. Kotoko is happy to hear this and thinks Naoki is about to say something romantic. However, he brings her back to reality and takes her home. Just then, Kotoko sees the snow begin to fall, marking the arrival of February 14, Valentine's Day. Kotoko asks Naoki if he expects to receive any chocolates for this special day. He replies that he does not, which disappoints her. After arriving home, Naoki finds a chocolate in the fridge. Knowing it was made by Kotoko, he eats it with a look of disgust. Meanwhile, Kotoko gazes at the stars, still remembering Naoki's words, unable to believe that he actually appreciates the trouble she causes him. Days later, the graduation ceremony for Class F approaches. Kotoko and her friends are so excited that they decide to organize the best party ever. They invite their teacher, who thanks them for the invitation. He hopes all his students will attend the party, but it turns out that one of them hasn't been coming to class today. That student is Kinosuke. The teacher informs Kotoko and her friends that Kinosuke has been absent for days, and the reason for this is something only he can explain. Kotoko visits Kinosuke, who is surprised that she found him so easily. She tells him that she was able to find him thanks to their friends. Kinosuke begins to resent his friends for this, but at least he's relieved that they didn't tell Kotoko the whole truth. When she asks why he has been skipping classes, he fearfully responds that it's because he didn't want to see anyone, especially her. He didn't want anyone to know that he wasn't accepted into Tonin University. Because of this, Kinosuke doesn't know what to do with his future and envies that all his friends already have their lives planned out. Kotoko advises him that he doesn't necessarily have to go to university. He can follow in his father's footsteps, who carved out his own path and became a professional chef without attending college. Hearing this, Kinosuke feels relieved about the future and commits to becoming someone worthy of being Kotoko's friend and future husband. The next day, Kinosuke is so happy about Kotoko's advice that he doesn't hesitate to give her a warm hug. When he arrives at Class F, everyone is shocked to see him. He announces that from now on, he will change his ways to become a respectable man, starting by helping Jinko and Satomi organize the graduation party. On the day of the ceremony, Noriko gets so excited that she starts taking pictures of Kotoko. When Naoki arrives, she asks him to stand next to Kinosuke for a photo. Instead, Naoki walks outside and tells Kotoko to come with him. Once outside, Noriko asks Kotoko and Naoki to stand closer together for a picture. Kotoko hesitantly steps forward, and in response, Naoki forcibly pulls her closer to get it over with. Kotoko is shocked by Naoki's sudden approach, and in return, she makes an effort to walk beside him on the way to school. Kinosuke sees this and can't help but feel jealous of Naoki. Kinosuke tells his friends that tonight, at the graduation party, he plans to do something bold to win Kotoko's love. He's going to kiss her. His friends go wild over this plan, but fully support him and are ready to help make his dream come true. Later, the graduation ceremony takes place. All the students receive their diplomas and can't help but cry, knowing this is the last time they will see each other. After receiving her diploma, Kotoko meets with Noriko. Noriko congratulates Kotoko and tells her that she, Shigeki, and Shigeo are proud of her achievement. Kotoko tears up at Noriko's words, but her sadness is overshadowed by surprise when she sees a boy confessing his love to the girl he likes. This makes her imagine what it would be like if Naoki confessed to her. Noriko spots Naoki in the distance. He is busy rejecting multiple girls' confessions. Noriko knows this is because Naoki is waiting for Kotoko to be one of them. So, Noriko, along with Jinko and Satomi, forces Kotoko to confess to Naoki. Kotoko imagines a scenario where Naoki accepts her confession and gives her a sweet kiss, but the harsh reality is that Naoki immediately rejects her, leaving Kotoko heartbroken. At nightfall, Kinosuke and his friends finish preparing for the graduation party. Soon, all the Class F students arrive and get excited at the sight of so much delicious food. As they enjoy their meal, The class of students suddenly arrive, intending to cause trouble. They silently take their seats in their section of the restaurant, instantly drawing the attention of the Class F students. The Class F students can't help but stare in awe at the prestigious food of Class A. However, Kotoko encourages her classmates, saying that Kinnasuke's food is much better. After this, the teachers from both classes give speeches. The Class F teacher delivers a heartfelt message to his students, while the Class A teacher gives a formal and serious speech. The Class A teacher doesn't hesitate to insult the Class F teacher and students, which leads to an argument between both classes. Kinnasuke tries to defend his class through violence, but Naoki points out that resorting to violence is something only brainless people do. This enrages Kinnasuke, who storms off. Kotoko follows him and, upon finding him, asks him not to let Naoki's words affect him. She reminds Kinnasuke that he is capable of anything. Tonight, he proved himself to be a great chef and host. Hearing this, Kinnasuke thanks Kotoko for her words and sees this as the perfect moment to kiss her. Just before he can, his friends shout Naoki's name, distracting him. Kotoko slips away, while Kinnasuke and Naoki have a brief argument in which Kinnasuke declares that he will do whatever it takes to win Kotoko's love. Meanwhile, Kotoko decides to become the life of the party and manages to unite Class F and Class A. As expected, not everything goes smoothly. Several Class A students start mocking her for being an airhead and for all the embarrassing events in her life. Naoki joins in, revealing some of Kotoko's most humiliating secrets. Kotoko refuses to let them mock her any longer, especially Naoki. So, she decides to get revenge by revealing a picture of Naoki dressed as a girl. Naoki is shocked and demands to know where she got the picture since he thought he had taken it from her. Kotoko reveals that Noriko gave her an extra copy. Everyone bursts into laughter at Naoki, and Kotoko points out that it's not so fun when people laugh at your misfortunes. This infuriates Naoki, who grabs Kotoko's hand and drags her away to talk to her in private. Shortly after, Kinnasuke takes the stage and dedicates a special song to Kotoko, publicly confessing his love for her. As Kinnasuke sings, Kotoko and Naoki are in their own heated discussion outside the restaurant. Kotoko reaches a conclusion. She will forget about Naoki for good, as she now sees him as a cruel person who enjoys exposing others' secrets for entertainment. Hearing this, Naoki steps closer and, without hesitation, kisses her. After the kiss, he tells her, "Try forgetting me after this." Kotoko is left in shock. Since this was her first kiss, she is no longer so sure about wanting to forget Naoki. After what happened, Kotoko remembers Naoki's kiss, which leads her to imagine a scenario in her head where the two of them are a beautiful couple living together. Kotoko quickly wakes up and realizes it was all a dream, feeling sad and frustrated knowing she has to fulfill her university obligations. Later, Kotoko and Naoki attend their first day at Tonin University. After Naoki separates from Kotoko, she meets up with her friends Jinko and Satomi. As the three of them talk about what major they will study, they suddenly see a beautiful girl in the distance. They wonder who she is and soon see that she meets up with Naoki, since they are in the same faculty. Jinko and Satomi refuse to let this new girl take Naoki away from Kotoko, so they push Kotoko forward to confront her. The new girl, whose name is Yuko Matsumoto, asks Naoki if Kotoko is his girlfriend, to which he responds that she is not. Kotoko is shocked and disappointed, unable to believe that Naoki would deny her after the kiss they shared. Kotoko tells her friends that she must forget about Naoki forever, to which they reply that this is the perfect opportunity since university will allow her to meet new people. Despite this, Kotoko doesn't believe she can completely forget about Naoki, as that night she can't help but glance at him during dinner at the family restaurant. During a meal, Kotoko and Naoki discover that Kinnasuke is working as a waiter and kitchen assistant. The reason for this is that Kinnasuke has found his place in the world and hopes to become a professional chef, just like Kotoko's father, so he can be a man worthy of Kotoko's love. Kotoko congratulates Kinnasuke on finding a job and sincerely hopes he has a bright future. Kinnasuke appreciates her words, which motivate him to work hard despite being reprimanded by his superiors. Ironically, Kinnasuke not only works at Kotoko's father's restaurant, but also at Tonin University's cafeteria, as he wants to ensure that he becomes the best chef in all of Japan. Kinosuke gives Kotoko a more elaborate lunch than Naoki's, demonstrating his love for Kotoko and his hatred toward Naoki. The latter cannot understand how Kinosuke has changed so much to impress Kotoko and tells him that he would never change for a girl. After this, Kinosuke tries to get Kotoko's attention but fails. What does catch Kotoko's attention is a man talking to Naoki. This man is Sudo, the vice president of the tennis club. Sudo has heard about how good Naoki is at tennis, which is why he intercepts him to convince him to join the club. After Naoki accepts, Sudo leaves happily. Kotoko and her friends overheard the entire conversation. The latter encouraged Kotoko to join the same club as Naoki so she can be close to him. Kotoko accepts the challenge, but there is one problem. Neither she nor her friends clearly heard which club Naoki plans to join. Because of this, Kotoko follows Naoki until she finds him with Yuko. The two enter a club, and when Kotoko does the same, she is shocked to read that it is the tennis club. Despite this, she loudly exclaims her desire to join. Sudo admires her enthusiasm and allows her to join. At night, Noriko helps Kotoko with her tennis uniform and gives her advice on how to get Naoki's attention. Kotoko is unsure about Noriko's advice and tells her that another girl has appeared in Naoki's life. Noriko doesn't believe that girl is a threat to Kotoko but tells her to stay close to Naoki as much as possible. The next day is the first practice of the tennis club. The members must compete against Sudo. The latter's expression changes when he grabs the racket, causing fear and panic among the members. No one can defeat Sudo, as he is like an angry bull. He manages to beat every club member, but when it's Yuko's turn, she gives him a tough challenge. It is revealed that Yuko has been very good at tennis since childhood and had the opportunity to meet Naoki at the National Tennis Championship. Seeing this, Kotoko is stunned, as she cannot believe that Naoki met Yuko before he met her. As a result, Kotoko feels incapable of matching Yuko's level. It is now Naoki's turn, and he gracefully defeats Sudo, which makes the latter so furious that he commits to crushing his next opponent. Unfortunately, it is now Kotoko's turn, and since she doesn't even know how to hold a racket, she ends up getting hit in the face by the tennis ball. Because of this, Noriko tends to her injuries and encourages her not to give up at the first obstacle, reminding her that she is doing all of this for Naoki. Shigeo has been listening to Noriko advising his daughter not to give up, and something about this doesn't sit right with him. That's why he decides to have a serious talk with her. Shigeo is direct. He asks Kotoko to leave the tennis club since he knows she only joined to be close to Naoki. Shigeo has been observing the relationship between his daughter and Naoki all this time, which is why he knows that Naoki is not interested in her in the slightest. Because of this, Shigeo asks Kotoko to stop trying so hard to make Naoki like her, as she will only hurt herself more. To convince Kotoko to stop chasing after Naoki, Shigeo tells her that he has found a place for them to live so they can stop bothering the Eri family. Upon hearing this, Kotoko is completely shocked, as she doesn't want to move away from Naoki's family, let alone from Naoki himself. Kotoko takes a walk around the city and suddenly finds Naoki. She tells him that she plans to move out with her father and asks if he will miss her. Naoki responds that he won't, saying that he will love going back to his ordinary life. Kotoko is surprised by Naoki's answer, as he is very unpredictable with his feelings, and that's why she will never truly understand how he really feels. Shigeo tells the Eri family that he and Kotoko will be moving out the next day. Upon hearing this, Mr. and Mrs. Eri can't help but feel sad, as they want Shigeo and Kotoko to continue living with them. Noriko feels so heartbroken that she can't hold back her tears, though she finds comfort in Shigeki. While Naoki remains indifferent to the situation, Yuki is more than happy about Kotoko and Shigeo's departure, as he will finally get his old room back. On Kotoko's side, she cries as she leaves Naoki's house, knowing that her story with him has come to an end. The next day at school, Kotoko tells her friends what happened and lets them know that, thanks to the serious conversation she had with her father, she has decided to forget about Naoki forever. Kinosuke hears her words, and to help her move on from Naoki, he prepares a delicious dish, hoping to win Kotoko's heart little by little. Meanwhile, at Naoki's house, he learns that his mother has fallen into a deep depression after Kotoko and her father moved out. Even though he doesn't miss Kotoko, it seems that Yuki does, Or at least he misses having conversations with Naoki. Now that he has his old room back, he will have to get used to being alone again. On a new day, Kotoko tells her friends that she will go to the tennis club. Jinko and Satomi remind her that she promised to forget about Naoki forever. In response, Kotoko reassures them that she is aware of her promise, but that won't stop her from trying her best to learn how to play tennis. Sudo gives the tennis club members a tough training routine, and once they finish it, he rewards them by allowing them to play on the court. Here, Kotoko is bullied by Yuko, who throws several tennis balls at her. Kotoko is forced to pick them up, and when she reaches for the last one, she comes across none other than Naoki. Kotoko tries to ignore him but struggles to do so, as she needs to ensure that Yuko doesn't try to take advantage of Naoki. Sudo sees Naoki entering the court and, still unable to accept his previous defeat, challenges him to a rematch. Naoki agrees, and Sudo sets the rules. The match must be played in pairs. Sudo chooses Yuko as his partner and selects Kotoko as Naoki's partner. The latter is annoyed but knows he can't refuse Kotoko as his teammate since Sudo has already established the rules. As expected, Kotoko performs poorly on the court, which ultimately leads to Sudo and Yuko's victory. Sudo is so pleased that he jokingly asks Naoki for another rematch. Ironically, Naoki accepts and warns Sudo that this time he will lose. In the following days, Naoki is determined to train Kotoko in the art of tennis, so much so that he trains her day and night, even in the rain. One day, as they are practicing, Yuko watches from a distance and can't help but seethe with rage, seeing how much time Kotoko is spending with Naoki. On another day, Noriko visits Tonin University in an attempt to spy on Kotoko, as she hasn't been able to see her in a long time. There, she encounters Kotoko's friends, who tell her everything that has happened recently. Jinko accidentally lets slip that on the night of the graduation party, Kotoko and Naoki kissed. Upon hearing this, Noriko becomes so excited that she forgets about her plan to spy on Kotoko and leaves the university, now more convinced than ever that Kotoko and Naoki are meant to be together. She makes a personal vow to do everything in her power to bring Kotoko back home. Back with Kotoko, she completes her training with Naoki, and thanks to it, finally feels capable of facing Sudo and Yuko. On the day of the match, Kotoko demonstrates her newly acquired skills. While she manages to hit the ball, it always ends up going out of bounds. Frustrated by the slow pace of the match, Sudo decides to use the dragon shot, hoping to knock Kotoko out of the game. As Sudo unleashes his signature move, Kotoko focuses her mind on the ball and, following Naoki's advice, successfully returns it, scoring points. Sudo is so shocked that he collapses onto the ground. Meanwhile, Kotoko starts feeling a tingling sensation in her foot, which causes her to fall due to the pain. Unable to get up, Naoki decides to end the match, believing that Kotoko's health is more important than beating Sudo. Naoki carries Kotoko in his arms, and she can't help but gaze at him lovingly, completely forgetting her promise to forget him forever. Naoki takes Kotoko to her new home, but she is surprised when an old man comes out of the house. She asks him who he is, to which he replies that he is the owner of the house. Kotoko is left in shock, not knowing what to do. As a consequence of this, Kotoko is forced to spend the night at Naoki's house. Ironically, this was all planned by Noriko, who took care of all the necessary paperwork so that Kotoko's father could neither buy nor rent a house, as she longs for Kotoko and her father to live in her home. Noriko informs Kotoko that she knows firsthand about the kiss with Naoki, which is why she did everything possible to make Kotoko and her father live in their house again. Although Kotoko is somewhat puzzled by this, at least she has a place to stay. The downside is that Noriko's enthusiasm worries her. Noriko is still determined to make Kotoko and Naoki a couple, so she asks Kotoko to try to win Naoki's heart through a date. Faced with this, Kotoko doesn't know what decision to make, so she chooses not to give the matter much importance. The next day, Kotoko finds out that her friends were the ones responsible for Noriko's change in attitude, since they were the ones who revealed the kiss between Kotoko and Naoki. When Kinosuke finds out, he can't help but feel sad and disappointed, as he had hoped to be Kotoko's first kiss. Jinko and Satomi think it's good for Kinosuke to feel this way so he can understand that he has no chance with Kotoko. Likewise, Jinko and Satomi believe this situation benefits Kotoko because they know she will never be able to forget Naoki, which is why they advise her not to give up on him. Kotoko listens to them and decides to spy on Naoki. The latter is meeting with Yuko. Sudo joins Kotoko in spying on them, as it turns out he has feelings for Yuko. When Kotoko realizes this, she teases Sudo, which causes him to try to shut her up. As a result of their struggle, he ends up on top of her in a rather compromising position. Yuko and Naoki see them, and Kotoko tries to explain the situation. Naoki has no time to listen to nonsense, so he decides to leave, but not before telling Yuko that he accepts going on a date with her. This leaves Kotoko and Sudo devastated, but they refuse to sit idly by. They organize and decide to spy on Naoki and Yuko's date. When Kotoko tells her friends about this, they get so excited that they shout Kotoko's plan out loud. Kotoko quickly hushes them and asks them to keep everything a secret. At that moment, Jinko hears a strange sound, but neither Kotoko nor Satomi pay attention to it. It turns out the strange sound came from a recorder under the table, which was placed there by Kinosuke. He manages to hear the girls' conversation, but due to the poor quality of the recorder, he only picks up a few key words. These words do not allow him to decipher what the girls are hiding, but luckily, his coworker successfully interprets the meaning of the words, which suggest an intimate date between two people. Kinosuke cannot help but get worked up about this, as he knows that the intimate date will be between his beloved Kotoko and someone else. On a new day, Kotoko and Sudo meet to carry out their plan, spying on Naoki and Yuko's date. While Kotoko and Sudo follow them, Kinosuke and his co-worker search for Kotoko to prevent her from having the supposed intimate date. They end up arriving at the place where the date will take place. Kinosuke refuses to leave until he sees Kotoko because he plans to confront the guy she is supposedly dating. Meanwhile, Kotoko and Sudo continue following Naoki and Yuko to the cinema, where they try to prevent any closeness between them. After this, they follow them to a restaurant where they can't help but writhe with jealousy upon hearing an intimate and compromising conversation between Naoki and Yuko. Then, they follow them to a clothing store where Kotoko and Sudo witness a suspiciously close interaction between Naoki and Yuko. Because of this, Kotoko decides to give up as it hurts her to see Naoki and Yuko growing closer. She runs home but accidentally bumps into a man along the way. The collision causes the man to spill his drink on himself. His shirt is now stained, and since it cost him 1,000 yen, he refuses to let Kotoko get away with it. The man grabs Kotoko by force, demanding that she pay for what she did. Kotoko tries to escape, but with no success. This is when Naoki steps in to defend her. Naoki easily dodges the man's attacks and then leaves everything in Sudo's hands. After that, he grabs Kotoko by the hand and takes her away. Once they are safe, Naoki reveals to Kotoko that he knew she and Sudo were spying on his date with Yuko. Naoki found their reactions amusing, which is why he doesn't hesitate to invite Kotoko on a date. Kotoko is shocked and immediately agrees to go out with him. Her excitement is so overwhelming that she gets carried away by the moment, causing her to lose sight of Naoki. She searches for him everywhere, but after failing to find him, she decides to give up. Just before heading home, she is surprised by none other than Naoki himself, who brings her something to eat. It turns out he simply went to a restaurant to buy food for their date. While Kotoko enjoys the burger Naoki bought for her, he opens up to her and admits that ever since she came into his life, he learned that life isn't perfect. He thanks Kotoko for turning his life around and confesses that despite hating the trouble she causes him, he doesn't hate her. Upon hearing this, Kotoko is touched and tears fall from her eyes, as she never imagined Naoki would change his perspective of her. Later at home, Kotoko dries her tears after what happened and changes her attitude thanks to Naoki's sincere words. When she goes downstairs to try to talk to him, she finds out that Naoki plans to move out. This news affects Kotoko so much that the happiness she felt after what happened with Naoki quickly fades away. Naoki leaves his house without properly saying goodbye to Kotoko. The latter is so affected by his departure that she can't help but feel depressed. Kotoko tells her friends about the situation, and they do not hesitate to comfort her. Kinosuke also tries to console Kotoko by offering her a dish But since this is nothing more than a cheap trick to win her heart, Kotoko's friends decide to push him away. Kotoko is not only hurt by Naoki leaving the house, but also because she doesn't know where he is living or what kind of job he has. No matter how much Kotoko asks Naoki's classmates for help, they tell her they have no idea about his latest whereabouts. Luckily for Kotoko, at nightfall, Noriko intercepts her to reveal that she knows where Naoki is working and invites her to spy on him. Yuki joins them, and thus, the three of them secretly watch Naoki at his workplace. Naoki works as a waiter in a restaurant, where he performs so well that he even helps his co-workers. The family trio is moved by Naoki's kind gesture toward his colleague. They call out to Naoki, thinking he won't recognize them. To their surprise, Naoki identifies them without difficulty and does not hesitate to treat them as customers, avoiding any kind of personal conversation. When Naoki's shift ends, he doesn't inform his family, leaving them waiting for him. One of Naoki's co-workers notifies them that Naoki has already gone home. The three are left disappointed, as they had hoped to find out where Naoki currently lives. Before leaving the restaurant, Noriko sees a job posting and immediately encourages Kotoko to apply, thinking this would allow her to stay close to Naoki. When Kotoko is taken for an interview, she is shocked to find out that Yuko has already secured the job. Later that night, Kotoko tells Noriko about this. To Kotoko's surprise, Noriko knows Yuko, as she has been investigating her all this time. After thorough research, Noriko has concluded that Yuko is not the ideal girl for her son. Because of this, Noriko advises Kotoko not to give up on trying to win Naoki's heart. The next day at school, Kotoko tells her friends what happened. They conclude that Naoki and Yuko are secretly getting closer, which alarms Kotoko, as she fears Naoki might be living near Yuko. Kotoko feels sad thinking about the current state of her relationship with Naoki. Fortunately for her, her father is always there to comfort her with a delicious soup. The two have an honest conversation in which he advises her not to give up on pursuing what she desires most. Kotoko wants Naoki with all her heart. Because of this, she decides to visit him during his work shift. Kotoko is willing to wait as long as necessary just to be able to talk to Naoki. When he finishes his shift, he meets up with Yuko, and they return home together. Kotoko tries to think positively, ignoring her intrusive thoughts about a possible relationship between Naoki and Yuko. She watches them enter the same apartment, and when she decides to go in, she is shocked to discover that they are living under the same roof. As expected, this deeply affects Kotoko, so much so that she cannot sleep well that night. The next day, Kotoko has a terrifying expression, as if she had seen hell itself. She remains like this for several days, which catches Naoki's attention. He calls Yuki to ask if he knows what's wrong with Kotoko. Yuki reveals to Naoki that Kotoko seems sick or something similar, as she has been acting like a lifeless zombie for days. Kotoko is in such poor physical condition that she collapses in front of her friends. They don't hesitate to take her to the infirmary. The nurse informs Jinko and Satomi that Kotoko's fainting is due to fatigue and exhaustion caused by psychological shock. Knowing this, they realize that the shock was caused by none other than Naoki. They intercept him to set things straight. Jinko and Satomi reveal to Naoki that Kotoko knows he and Yuko are living together, and they tell him that this discovery has left her in a terrible state. They urge Naoki to speak to Kotoko directly to clarify everything, as they want their friend to return to her old self. After this, Kinesu takes Kotoko home, and before leaving, he tells her that she can always count on him. Kotoko is touched by his words, and with Kinesuke's constant support, she decides to confront Naoki the next day. Kotoko speaks with Naoki to clear things up. She tells him that she will support his relationship with Yuko as much as she can, showing kindness and understanding. Suddenly, a high school girl arrives, and upon seeing Kotoko, she greets her by name, as she apparently knows her. Kotoko asks the girl who she is, to which the student reveals that her name is Ayako Matsumoto. At that moment, Yuko arrives and joins Ayako. It is then that Kotoko discovers that Yuko has a younger sister. Ayako lives in Yuko's house and is tutored by Naoki, who helps her with her studies. Kotoko now understands that Naoki doesn't live in Yuko's house. He simply visits to assist Ayako. Upon learning this, Kotoko asks Naoki to forget everything she said to him. Naoki ignores her and walks away. Afterward, Kotoko is so overjoyed that Yuko and Naoki are not living in the same apartment that she doesn't hesitate to shout it out loud. Hearing her yell, Sudo arrives and joins Kotoko to go out for a meal. On a new day, Shigeki, Noriko, and Shigeo are forced to attend a wedding. As a result, Kotoko will be alone with Yuki. Kotoko says goodbye to her tutors, not without handing them sandwiches for the trip. That night, Kotoko prepares hamburgers for herself and Yuki. The latter takes a bite of the burger and soon feels a sharp stomach pain. Kotoko panics, prompting her to try calling someone responsible for help. Unable to reach anyone fitting that description, Kotoko decides to call Kinosuke, who does not hesitate to leave work to assist her. Kinosuke meets up with Jinko and Satomi, and the three of them try to contact Naoki. Meanwhile, Kotoko takes Yuki to the hospital. After examining Yuki thoroughly, the doctor informs Kotoko that the boy suffers from intussusception, which is a bowel disease. The doctor tells Kotoko that Yuki needs urgent surgery, as his health could be seriously affected if he is not operated on. Kotoko immediately asks the doctor to proceed with the surgery, but the doctor then asks if she is a direct relative of the boy. She replies that she is not, and as a result, the doctor is unable to operate on Yuki without the direct approval of a family member. Kotoko prays and waits for Naoki to arrive. Naoki is at work when Kinosuke suddenly arrives to inform him that Yuki is in the hospital. Naoki quickly leaves his job and rushes to the hospital with Kinosuke. Naoki completes the necessary paperwork so that Yuki can undergo surgery, and after that, the boy is taken to the operating room. Naoki thanks Kinosuke for notifying him about the situation, but Kinosuke believes Naoki has nothing to thank him for. Kinosuke makes Naoki realize that he cannot distance himself from his family to live alone, as losing contact with them would mean he wouldn't know if something happened to them. After these words, Kinosuke takes his leave, leaving Naoki deep in thought. After a few minutes, Naoki approaches the doctor to ask about Yuki. The doctor informs him that Yuki is now fine and will be discharged from the hospital the next day. The doctor tells Naoki to thank Kotoko for bringing Yuki to the hospital, as her concern for the boy helped prevent a more serious future illness. Moved by these words, Naoki does not hesitate to thank Kotoko by giving her a hug. She returns the hug and cries with joy after Naoki tells her that Yuki is safe. Following this, Naoki decides to take Kotoko to his apartment, as no taxis are available to take her back to her family's house. Kotoko feels nervous being at Naoki's place, and as expected, she admires with great affection the place where Naoki is living. After taking a shower, Kotoko is ready for bed. Naoki asks Kotoko to sleep in the bed while he plans to sleep on the floor. She feels bad for Naoki, so she tries to convince him to let her sleep on the floor so he can sleep in his own bed. Naoki listens to Kotoko but decides to sleep beside her in the bed. Kotoko becomes nervous, thinking something might happen between them, but when Naoki makes no move, she feels disappointed. Because of this, Kotoko decides to sleep, but then Naoki starts talking to her about life. He talks at length about his present and future, which eventually causes Kotoko to fall asleep. The next morning, she leaves Naoki's house early, wanting to be the first to visit Yuki in the hospital. When Naoki visits his brother, he is surprised to find Kotoko asleep after trying to cheer Yuki up. She wakes up shortly after, and upon seeing Naoki, she calls out his name. He asks her to talk in private, and once alone, he confesses that he has feelings for her. Naoki moves closer to Kotoko and kisses her, but it turns out this was nothing more than a dream. The only real part of the dream is that Naoki did indeed come to deliver flowers to Yuki. He informs Kotoko of this, prompting her to place the flowers in a vase. Ironically, Yuki is aware of what actually happened. It turns out that Naoki did come to leave flowers, but in doing so, he kissed Kotoko on the lips. Naoki asked Yuki not to say anything to Kotoko. Yuki can't help but look at Kotoko in confusion, as he doesn't understand what Naoki sees in her. Yuki returns home, and his family celebrates his arrival. Days later, Christmas Eve approaches. Kotoko is excited because she believes this season is the perfect opportunity to get closer to Naoki. When she asks him what he will do for Christmas Eve, he replies that he will be working that day. This discourages Kotoko, and to make matters worse, Yuko will be working alongside him. Kotoko suffers, lamenting that she has no one to spend Christmas Eve with. Fortunately, Kotoko remembers that she has her friends Jinko and Satomi, though ironically, they won't be able to spend Christmas Eve with her either, as they will be with their partners. Jinko introduces her boyfriend, Junpei Narasaki, an amateur musician. Satomi also introduces her boyfriend, Ryo Takamiya, who is a law student. Kotoko is happy that her friends have found partners, but she doesn't understand when it all happened. Despite being happy for her friends, she can't help but feel sad because she is the only one without a partner. Seeing her sadness, Kinosuk comforts her, but then Jinko and Satomi join in Kotoko's sadness, as it turns out they won't be able to spend Christmas Eve with their partners for various reasons. Because of this, Kotoko comes up with a plan to have a girls' night on Christmas Eve. Kinosuk joins in and asks to be part of the girls' night. The girls remind him that he is a beginner cook, so he won't be able to attend any party due to work. When Kinosuk realizes this, he gets frustrated. Later, at the Irie house, Noriko informs Kotoko that her husband will be hosting a Christmas party at the Prince Hotel to celebrate both Christmas and the anniversary of his company's founding. She then invites Kotoko to the party, but Kotoko declines, saying she has already made plans with her friends. At that moment, Yuki asks his mother if Naoki will be attending the party. Kotoko answers that Naoki won't be attending any party because he will be busy with work. Hearing this, Shigeki becomes sad because he wants his son to attend the party. He calls Naoki and asks him to come. Naoki tells his father that he won't go to the party because he knows his father will try to convince him to join his company. Shigeki assures him that won't be the case and insists that he only wants him there to spend time with the family. Moved by these words, Kotoko decides to attend the party, so the next day, she goes to her parents' house to pick up her formal attire. While there, she finds out that Naoki will be attending the party after all. Upon learning this, she changes her plans and decides to go to Shigeki's Christmas party. Unfortunately, Naoki convinces her not to attend, reminding her that she already made plans with her friends. Although Kotoko is annoyed by these words, she knows he is right, and since she doesn't want to give him the satisfaction of making fun of her, she puts all her effort into having the best girls' night. After preparing everything, Kotoko patiently waits for her friends. Suddenly, Jinko calls to tell her that she won't be able to attend because her boyfriend showed up at her house. Kotoko tells her not to worry and sends her regards to both of them. After that, Satomi calls to inform her that she also won't be able to attend because her boyfriend invited her to dinner at the last minute. Because of all this, Kotoko will now spend Christmas Eve alone. She considers going to Shigeki's party, but knows that if she shows up as if nothing happened, people will make fun of her. That's why she starts wondering what to do on this lonely Christmas Eve. As Kotoko spends Christmas Eve alone, she suddenly hears someone trying to enter the house. She gets scared and looks for an object to defend herself against the supposed intruder. Kotoko hides, and when the intruder approaches, she hits him with a racket. When she opens her eyes, she realizes that the intruder is none other than Naoki. Kotoko laughs at the situation and then helps Naoki treat the wound she caused. The two start chatting. Kotoko asks Naoki if he attended his father's party. Naoki replies that he did but left halfway through because he found it boring. He then asks Kotoko what happened to her girls' night. She tells him that it was canceled because Jinko and Satomi made last-minute plans with their boyfriends. Naoki laughs at Kotoko's situation but decides to help her with her loneliness by sharing some fried chicken he brought from his father's party. They both enjoy the food, and then it's time to eat the traditional Christmas cake. Before eating, Kotoko asks Naoki to make a wish. He refuses and tells her to make one instead. Meanwhile, Kinosuk arrives after finishing his long work hours. He is dressed as Santa, intending to surprise Kotoko in a nice way. However, when he looks through the window of the Irie house, he sees Kotoko with Naoki, which makes him feel depressed. He had thought Kotoko was spending Christmas Eve alone. After Christmas Eve, time starts to fly. Kotoko enters her second year at Tonan University. She continues attending the tennis club. But in this new year, she is surprised to find that a new member has joined. It is none other than Ayako, Yuko's younger sister. Ayako formally introduces herself to her teammates and reveals that she joined the club to win the National Tennis Tournament Championship. In addition to this, she also confesses that she joined the club to win Naoki's heart. As expected, this alarms Kotoko and, ironically, Yuko as well. Later, Kotoko has a conversation with her friends. They tell her that they already have their futures planned out. Satomi will soon start working at a women's magazine publisher and hopes to gradually climb the ranks to become a professional editor. Jinko, on the other hand, has discovered her love for music thanks to her boyfriend, which is why she plans to become a music producer. The only one who doesn't know what to do with her future is Kotoko. While she is certain she wants a future with Naoki, she has no backup plan in case things don't work out. This becomes evident the next day when Kotoko invites her friends to lunch. They kindly decline, explaining that they are busy catching up with their future plans. As a result, Kotoko eats alone, though, luckily for her, Kinosuke appears. He brings her a special meal and asks her to taste it to see how good it is. Kotoko tries the food, and although she makes a dissatisfied face, she tells Kinosuke that his cooking is improving every time, as it now tastes like professional food. Kinosuke thanks her for the compliment, but asks why she made that face of dissatisfaction. Kotoko reveals that she made that expression because she feels bad knowing that all her friends are moving forward with their dreams while she remains stuck in the present, unsure of how to move forward. Kotoko acknowledges that her only dream is to be with the love of her life, which is why she is willing to follow that person into any profession. Hearing this, Kinosuke jokingly tells her that, in that case, if the love of her life were a chef, she would be a cook at his restaurant. Kotoko laughs, but Kinosuke does not. His joke had a deeper meaning. He wanted to know if Kotoko would stand by him when he becomes a chef. However, since she simply laughed, he realizes she is not the one for him, which makes him sad. Later, Kotoko searches for books in the library to clear her mind about her future. While there, she notices Naoki reading several books. This makes her think that Naoki has already chosen his future, which saddens her because she is the only one who still doesn't know what to do. That night, the Irie family celebrates the new academic year for Kotoko and Naoki. During the gathering, Noriko starts teasing Naoki, saying that he and Kotoko should get married because she believes they make a great couple. Noriko is so persistent about this that Naoki wants to leave the house. Fortunately, Shigeki stops him. After this, he calls both Naoki and Noriko to speak in private. During the conversation, Shigeki confesses to his son that he wants him to be the successor of his company and hopes he can make a decision about it soon. Noriko, on the other hand, insists once again that Naoki should marry Kotoko. She believes not only that Kotoko is the perfect girl for him, but also that her support and companionship will be a great help to him. Hearing all of this, Naoki becomes angry with his parents and tells them that they cannot decide his future or whom he should love. He yells at them, and in response, Noriko slaps him hard. Furious, Naoki quickly leaves the room. As he walks out, he runs into Kotoko. He ignores her and keeps going. Kotoko, having heard the entire conversation, doesn't hesitate to follow him to try and give him advice. She tells him to consider his parents' wishes but emphasizes that he alone must choose his future. No one can force you to study something you don't want to or love someone you hate. After these words, Naoki reveals to Kotoko that he wants to study medicine because he wants to become a doctor. Kotoko is shocked and asks when he decided this. Naoki replies that he has been interested in medicine for some time, but he made the final decision to become a doctor at that very moment, thanks to her advice. Naoki asks Kotoko not to tell anyone about his decision, especially not his parents. Kotoko agrees but asks why he told her something so important instead of his parents. Naoki responds that he doesn't know, and with that, he leaves. Kotoko is left deep in thought, believing that Naoki's dream is connected to a conversation they once had. In another scene, Noriko and Shigeki regret having driven Naoki away from home. Shigeki tries to confess something important to his wife, but at that moment, he begins to have a heart attack. Shigeki is taken to the hospital. The doctor informs Noriko and Naoki that Shigeki is in serious condition, and because of this, he will need to rest in the hospital until he recovers. As a result, Shigeki will not be able to work, which means his company will lose shares. Given this, Naoki decides to take charge of the company while waiting for his father to recover. Noriko is eternally grateful for the gesture, while Kotoko cannot help but feel bad for Naoki, as he is abandoning his dream of becoming a doctor just to take care of his father's company. When she talks to her friends, they give her advice. Thanks to Jinko and Satomi's words, Kotoko decides to support Naoki in his decision to take over his father's company because she wants to be useful to him. Kinosuke arrives to tell her that she made the right choice. Kotoko thanks him for his words and then leaves. Jinko and Satomi let Kinosuke know that he won't win Kotoko's heart with mere words of encouragement. In the following days, Naoki fulfills his duty of running his father's company. While Naoki works hard, Kotoko takes care of preparing him delicious lunches and treats him kindly. This makes her happy because, in a way, she feels like she and Naoki are a newlywed couple. At the same time, Kotoko takes care of Yuki. Their responsibilities take up a lot of their time, which is why Kotoko informs Sudo that she and Naoki will be temporarily leaving the tennis club. Sudo understands and tells her to send his best wishes to Naoki. At that moment, Ayako appears to inform Sudo that she will not be attending club practice today because she has a date with her boyfriend. Before Sudo can scold her, he is surprised to learn that Ayako got a boyfriend so quickly, completely forgetting her previous interest in Naoki. Setting this aside, at nightfall, Noriko informs Yuki and Kotoko that Shigeki is stable and will likely be able to return home next month. Both are happy about the news, especially Kotoko, since Shigeki's return means that Naoki will be able to resume his studies and pursue his dreams. On a new day, Naoki, his assistant, and Noriko visit Shigeki. They find him talking with some business associates. Naoki sees this as disrespectful to his father, as he should be resting and avoiding any contact with work-related people. Shigeki asks Naoki to respect his guests, as they are important individuals. One of them is Chairman Oizumi, the president of a company that works alongside Shigeki's. The other person is simply Chairman's assistant, named Yokoyama. After the introductions, Naoki does not hesitate to be harsh with Yokoyama and Chairman, asking them to leave immediately, saying it is disrespectful for them to visit Shigeki knowing his health condition. Yokoyama retaliates against Naoki, but the latter ignores him. Naoki asks Chairman for a private meeting elsewhere, clarifying that he is the temporary president of his father's company. Chairman agrees, and after the business meeting, Naoki saves a girl from a possible fall. We do not know this girl yet, but she seems to have been struck by Naoki's charm. At nightfall, Naoki returns home, so exhausted that he completely ignores Kotoko. The next morning, Naoki leaves for work, once again ignoring Kotoko. This worries her, and she wonders what might be troubling Naoki. During dinner, Kotoko receives a call from Sudo, who informs her that Yuko is about to confess her feelings to Naoki. Kotoko now understands why Naoki has been acting strangely these past days. She searches the city for Naoki and Yuko, and when she finds them, she decides to spy on them. Kotoko watches as Yuko confesses her feelings to Naoki. She feels sad, but luckily for her, Naoki rejects Yuko. The latter tries to force a kiss on Naoki, but he pushes her away. After this, he reveals that he has already kissed someone, obviously referring to Kotoko. Faced with this, Yuko's pride is completely shattered, as she cannot believe she lost to Kotoko. Furious, Yuko leaves, while Kotoko tries to sneak away from the scene. Unfortunately, Naoki intercepts her, leaving Kotoko with no choice but to come out of hiding and return home with him. Before that, the two have a conversation in which Naoki reveals to Kotoko that his father is in critical condition, meaning he will not be able to return to work for a couple of years. As a consequence, Naoki will not be able to return to his studies, let alone pursue his dream of becoming a doctor. Kotoko feels sad for him, and seeing him devastated, she does not hesitate to hug him. He does not push her away, as he truly needed Kotoko's support and comfort. On a new day, Chairman has an important business meeting with Naoki. Chairman proposes an arranged marriage between Naoki and a girl his age and asks him to give an answer in the coming days. When Chairman leaves, Naoki is left deep in thought about his proposal, as accepting it could bring his father's company back to its former glory. Shigeki and Noriko are upset with Naoki for agreeing to an arranged marriage. Shigeki realizes that Naoki is only doing it for the company, so he advises him not to rush into marrying a girl he doesn't love. Naoki insists that he's doing it because he wants to, and that he actually likes the girl, who is the granddaughter of the chairman, and her name is Sahoko Wazumi. Kotoko, Shigeo and Yuki visit Shigeki at the hospital and arrive just in time to catch the end of the conversation between Naoki and his parents. Yuki asks his brother if he really plans to marry Sahoko. Naoki stands firm in his decision and walks past Kotoko without even looking at her, leaving everyone bewildered. Kotoko tells her friends about Naoki's arranged marriage, and they all feel sorry for her, including Kinosuke. Satomi asks Kinosuke why he's so interested in seeing Naoki and Kotoko together, to which he replies that he just wants to see Kotoko happy. Kotoko is so distracted by Naoki's arranged marriage that she injures herself while washing dishes. Noriko tends to her wound and tells her she doesn't believe Naoki really wants to go through with the marriage, as the only reason Naoki works at the company is because he feels responsible for his father's collapse. Kotoko asks Noriko if Naoki would really go so far as to change his life out of guilt toward his father. Noriko replies that once Naoki gets an idea in his head, he becomes obsessed with it, so it's impossible to change his mind. However, Noriko assures Kotoko that she has a plan to make sure the arranged marriage doesn't happen. Kotoko runs into Yuko, who has just found out about Naoki's engagement. Yuko is upset that Naoki is being paired with such a high-class girl. Kotoko accidentally reveals to Yuko that Naoki's mother is planning to sabotage the wedding. Upon hearing this, Yuko gives Kotoko a sharp look and then decides to join her in sabotaging Naoki's marriage together. On the day of the wedding meeting, Yuko and Kotoko sneak out dressed as gardeners. Yuko struggles to keep up with Kotoko. The two get close enough to spot their rival, Sahoko. Both are astonished by her beauty, but Yuko comments that she probably has no brains, which makes both her and Kotoko feel better. Noriko makes it clear she doesn't want the marriage to happen, ignoring Naoki's piercing stare. Noriko starts to humiliate her son in front of Sahoko, saying that he has little patience and is often mean to girls, even sharing how harshly he rejected Kotoko's love letter in high school. Despite this, Sahoko pays no mind to Noriko's words. She's already deeply in love with Naoki. Noriko plays her final card. She tells Sahoko that Kotoko has been living in their house for 3 years and that she can't guarantee nothing has happened between her and Naoki. Naoki is alarmed by this, so he takes Sahoko for a walk to get away from his mother. Naoki begins acting lovingly towards Sahoko, wanting to make it clear that she is the only girl he's interested in. He doesn't have to do this, but he does it to convince Sahoko that he's been in love with her ever since they met in the elevator. Yuko and Kotoko watch from afar, full of jealousy and ready to take action. They go with their first plan, to turn on the sprinkler and ruin Sahoko's kimono so she'll have to go home. The plan fails as the sprinkler doesn't activate when Sahoko walks by. When they go to see what went wrong, the sprinkler goes off right in their faces. Because of this, Kotoko and Yuko move to plan B, throwing bugs at Sahoko to scare her into falling into the pond. A large caterpillar lands on Sahoko, but it moves toward Naoki. He grabs the caterpillar and throws it away, unfortunately hitting Kotoko in the face. Kotoko and Yuko scream and fall into the pond, so once again, their plan fails. As a result, Kotoko and Yuko wonder if it's really worth ruining Naoki's happiness. Yuko encourages Kotoko, saying that they must stop Naoki's wedding not only because it's a complete farce, but because she knows better than anyone that Naoki has feelings for Kotoko. Yuko gives Kotoko a final word of encouragement before leaving. Kotoko can barely accept that Naoki is seeing another girl, which is why her friends encourage her to keep going. Kotoko admits she wants to move on, but lately, she feels more connected to Naoki than ever. Jinko feels the same way and tells Kotoko to fight for Naoki. Satomi jumps in to say that it makes no sense to think that way now, since Naoki can't just suddenly break things off with Sahoko. Kinosuke is left thoughtful after hearing the girls, especially Kotoko. He decides he can't allow Naoki to play with Kotoko's feelings. That's why he confronts him directly to ask how he feels about her. Naoki avoids the question, which leads Kinosuke to believe that Naoki is indeed playing games. Kotoko, who has gone out looking for Naoki, happens to walk by and hides when she sees them arguing. Naoki asks Kinosuke what he plans to do if he finds out he is playing with Kotoko. Kinosuke lets him know that he's willing to do whatever it takes to make Kotoko fall in love with him. Kotoko hopes Naoki will jump in like a knight to defend her, But instead, Naoki tells Kinosuke to do whatever he wants. Completely devastated, Kotoko cries for a long time and stays at the park long after Naoki and Kinosuke leave. At home, Yuki asks Naoki if he really plans to marry Sahoko. Yuki knows his brother is truly in love with Kotoko and brings up the kiss at the hospital. But Naoki acts as if he didn't hear a word, saying that he'll soon introduce Sahoko to him. Meanwhile, Kinosuke tries to ask Kotoko out on a date. Surprisingly, Kotoko accepts without a second thought. The reason is that she feels so grateful to Kinosuke for always being there for her that the least she can do is agree to one date. Kinosuke is overjoyed because even if she accepted out of pity, he at least got to invite the girl of his dreams. In another scene, we see Naoki busy with work, making plans for an official meeting with Sahoko's family. Kotoko, for her part, chooses between the two paths ahead. She tells herself that Naoki is about to begin his own journey, so she believes she should do the same. Noriko tells Naoki about the date between Kotoko and Kinosuke. Naoki tries to pretend he doesn't care, but his lack of focus at work reveals he's feeling jealous of Kinosuke. The latter goes on his date with Kotoko. First, they watch a movie, and then they go to an arcade. Kotoko has more fun than she expected and manages to forget about Naoki for the time being. Satomi and Jinko are surprised to hear that Kotoko went out with Kinosuke, but they're glad she has momentarily forgotten about Naoki. Kotoko admits she had fun on her date with Kinosuke and lets her friends know she'll be going on another one with him. In a flashback, we see that Kinosuke told Kotoko not to take the date too seriously, as he only invited her out to help her relieve stress and move on with her life. Satomi and Jinko think Kotoko should focus on just having fun with a guy, regardless of who he is. Kotoko thinks that would be disrespectful, especially if that guy is Kinosuke. Satomi then realizes that Kotoko wants to protect Kinosuke from getting hurt because deep down, she has feelings for him. When Jinko presses her to say what she thinks about Kinosuke, Kotoko simply says he's a really good person. Later, Sahoko and Naoki go to a concert, and Sahoko complains afterward that the person in front of them fell asleep as soon as it started. This makes Naoki think of Kotoko falling asleep at a concert, and he can't help but laugh. Noriko keeps an eye on Naoki and asks if he's done anything indecent with Sahoko. Naoki says no, but adds that it wouldn't be a bad thing anyway, since Sahoko is his partner after all. He reminds Noriko that both she and Shigeki told him he should decide who he wants to marry, so she shouldn't meddle in his love life. Later, Kotoko comes home, and Noriko asks if she had a date. Kotoko replies that she's been busy with Kinosuke, who offered to help her cook so they could start working together with Shigeo. Naoki can't help but think Kotoko actually went on a date with Kinosuke. In response, Kotoko makes it clear that she doesn't mix love with work like some people do, obviously referring to Naoki. He gets annoyed and argues with Kotoko. The argument escalates to the point where Noriko has to step in before it gets worse. Afterward, Noriko points out that they argued like a married couple. Both Kotoko and Naoki deny it, ending the fight. Noriko tells Shigeki she can't stand that Naoki and Kotoko are drifting apart. Shigeki ignores her complaints because he has more bad news. Chairman wants to hold his granddaughter's engagement ceremony after Shigeki is discharged from the hospital. While visiting his father, Naoki sees a doctor with a patient and remembers how he gave up on his dream of becoming a doctor. Shigeki will be discharged soon, and even though he knows he needs surgery, he's decided to fix the company's issues first. Naoki doesn't want him to get stressed again over the company, but Shigeki refuses to let Naoki go through with the wedding just for the company's sake. Shigeki wants Naoki to be happy with the girl he truly loves. Naoki insists Sahoko is the girl he loves and asks his father not to meddle in his love life, and instead focus on getting better. When Shigeki returns home, the family celebrates with a party. Everyone is in a good mood until unexpected guests arrive. Naoki has invited Chairman and Sahoko. Noriko pulls Naoki aside and tells him it was supposed to be a family gathering, but he says that's exactly why he invited them. They're already part of the family. During the party, Kotoko steps aside so Sahoko can sit next to Naoki, and then awkwardly stands around with no place to sit. She finally sits down and manages to smile. though her eyes remain fixed on Sahoko and Naoki. Kotoko becomes the outsider at the party as everyone's attention shifts to Sahoko, who brought a delicious handmade bento for Shigeki. Kotoko puts on a happy face despite feeling awful inside. Then, Chairman asks if she's the girl Noriko chose to be Naoki's wife. He stares at Kotoko for too long, making everyone uncomfortable, so Sahoko steps in and takes Kotoko outside. Sahoko talks to Kotoko and apologizes for her grandfather's behavior. She explains that both she and her grandfather are a bit jealous of Kotoko for having lived with Naoki for so long, and they also envy how much Noriko adores her. Kotoko brushes it off and changes the subject. She asks Sahoko why she likes Naoki. Sahoko says she fell for him at first sight because he was so kind to her. She thought they were destined to be together when they finally met at the arranged marriage meeting. Hearing this, Kotoko realizes her own situation isn't that different from Sahoko's. She also fell for Naoki at first sight and got to live with him, but unlike Sahoko, she never felt like they were destined to be together, as their relationship never progressed. Sahoko, meanwhile, is happy with her relationship with Naoki, but despite loving him deeply, she's also afraid of him. The kinder Naoki is, the farther she feels from understanding who he truly is. Kotoko tells Sahoko that Naoki is a difficult guy with a hard-to-read personality. When Naoki is nice to a girl, she gets her hopes up. But when he turns cold, that girl starts to feel scared, as if Naoki hates her. Sahoko realizes that Kotoko is speaking from personal experience, which Kotoko denies. After dinner, Sahoko and Naoki go out for a walk while Noriko watches them. Though she can't find any flaws in Sahoko, she says that she wants to sprinkle salt to purify the house. Noriko asks her husband if he's really going to let Naoki go through with the wedding. Shichiki replies that it's Naoki's decision. Then, Noriko goes to Kotoko to apologize for giving her false hope about Naoki. Noriko admits she wanted Kotoko to become part of the family, but given the current situation, she realizes she only hurt Kotoko's feelings out of selfishness. Kotoko thanks Noriko for her concern. Then she tells her that she's always considered her a mother, and that won't change no matter who Naoki marries. This deeply moves Noriko, who leaves the room in tears. Later, Naoki meets with Kotoko. She tells him that Sahoko is truly a wonderful person. Naoki agrees and praises Sahoko's virtues, expecting Kotoko to react negatively, but she doesn't. Ironically, Naoki's words affect Kotoko, and after he tells her to find a boyfriend on her own level, she goes upstairs to cry in private. Shigeo talks to Kotoko and says they should consider moving now that Naoki is going to marry Sahoko. Kotoko agrees with her father, even though it's not what she wants. Shigeo tries to cheer her up by saying it's important to know when to let go, and that this might be her chance to show Naoki how attractive she really is. On the way home, Kotoko sees a shooting star and wonders how many she's wished upon. On the day of the engagement ceremony, Noriko remains stubborn, calling it the worst day of her life and refusing to even think about setting a date for the wedding. That same day, Kotoko has a date with Kinosuke, and although she tries to act cheerful, the sight of a wedding dress reminds her of Naoki and Sahoko's upcoming wedding. Kinosuke brings her back to reality and Kotoko cheers up again, suggesting they go to an arcade because she wants to win a plush toy for her collection. Kinosuke wins the exact plushie Kotoko wanted. She asks how he knew, and Kinosuke replies that he always knows what she's thinking. Then he gets down on one knee, gives her the teddy bear, and exclaims, "Will you marry me?" Kotoko still hasn't given Kinosuke an answer after his marriage proposal. Although she has always seen him as a good friend, her friends believe he would be a better match for her than Naoki, who played with her feelings while getting engaged to another girl. Despite the stability and affection Kinosuke offers, Kotoko can't stop thinking about Naoki and wonders what he would think if he found out about the proposal. Meanwhile, Naoki has decided to postpone his wedding with Sahoko for a year, on the condition that his father, Shigeki, undergo surgery. At home, he continues to question his decision to marry. On the other hand, Kotoko's father, Shigeo, finds a house for them to live in and tells her he would build a two-family house if she gets married. When Kotoko asks if he would be happy if she married Kinosuke, he replies that he would be, but she shouldn't make that decision for his sake. Kotoko goes on a date with Kinosuke in the same place she had her first date with Naoki, which makes her feel nostalgic. To make matters worse, they run into Naoki and Sahoko. Although Sahoko kindly invites Kotoko and Kinosuke to an art exhibition, Naoki makes a snide comment that upsets Kotoko. Instead of confronting him, she keeps her composure, which enrages Naoki even more, though he tries to hide it. Sahoko, puzzled by his behavior, confronts him, but he fails to reassure her. She realizes that Naoki doesn't even understand his own feelings and leaves him alone. Noriko, Naoki's mother, tries to convince him not to marry Sahoko by telling him Kotoko is dating Kinosuke and will soon move out. Though Naoki pretends to be indifferent, he's later seen thoughtfully staring at Kotoko's door. Trying to see her, he goes to the tennis practice field but finds out she hasn't been there for a while. He runs into Yuko, whom he had previously rejected, and they chat briefly about the future. Later, he comes across Satomi and Jinko, Kotoko's friends, who tell him she's supposed to give her answer to Kinosuke that very day. His reaction reveals his surprise and jealousy. That night, with Shijio's restaurant closed, Kinosuke takes the chance to teach Kotoko how to cook. However, when he asks again for her answer, she requests more time. Tired of waiting, Kinosuke tries to kiss her, but she screams Naoki's name, breaking his heart. Embarrassed, Kotoko runs off in the rain, blaming herself for hurting him and for still being in love with Naoki. Just then, Naoki appears with an umbrella and says he came to get her. As they walk, Naoki asks if she's engaged and if she loves Kinosuke. She avoids a direct answer, saying that Kinosuke has loved her for a long time. They argue, and she finally admits that she still loves Naoki, even if it hurts that he doesn't feel the same. To her surprise, Naoki confesses that he has always loved her and kisses her in the rain. When they arrive home soaked, Naoki asks Shijio for permission to marry Kotoko. Everyone is stunned. Shijio reminds him that Kotoko has no special talents, but Naoki replies that he loves her just as she is, causing Shijio to cry with emotion. Noriko is overjoyed, but Naoki must still face his father, Shigeki, who gives him two conditions. He must resign from the company and return to medical school to pursue his real dream. Shigeki agrees to take over the business so that his son can follow his own path. Yuki, Naoki's younger brother, says he'll take over the business when he grows up, further freeing Naoki. Kotoko, happy but cautious, fears that Naoki will go back to his cold personality the next day, but he reassures her that his love is real and permanent. They embrace, and Noriko suddenly appears with a camera, revealing she's been secretly photographing them all along. The next day, Noriko organizes a surprise wedding at the church without telling anyone. She's already invited everyone, so there's no turning back. During the preparations, Yuki tells Kotoko that Naoki kissed her at the hospital, confirming his feelings from long ago. Before the ceremony, Kinosuke bids Kotoko farewell, wishes her the best, and warns Naoki to take good care of her. Naoki, annoyed by the improvised wedding, softens when he sees Kotoko walking down the aisle. Although he complains that everything was arranged without his consent, he admits she looks beautiful. During the ceremony, Kotoko stops the kiss to reveal that she knows how long Naoki has loved her, surprising everyone, and this time she's the one who kisses him. Finally, Kotoko narrates how she went from being Kotoko Aihara to becoming Kotoko Airi, thus ending this love story full of misunderstandings, difficult choices, and deep emotions.